This is the old versus new I've been waiting for. Yes. It's Beast Wars Megatron. Oh my gosh. I love Beast Wars Megatron. I loved him so much, I went and got his vintage figure years ago. He doesn't have the missiles, though, but don't worry about that. But they finally released a new modern Megatron that actually looks like the show and is really good. Because I don't mess with Masterpiece, man. They're too expensive. And I'm worried about breaking them. I think the MP Megatron Beast Wars actually had some issues around the crotch. And this one also... But anyways, yeah, this is an old versus new between the original vintage Beast Wars Megatron and the new Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom one. Which one is better? Which one is cooler? I keep knocking into the camera. We'll find out. I personally have a favorite among these two, but they're both very cool for different reasons. So you can see right off the bat, I think this was an Ultra class back when it came out, and this is a Leader class. The Kingdom one is a lot heavier. A lot heavier. But they're both about the same size, actually. They're both very comparable in size. The Kingdom one's a little bigger, which is nice. But the vintage one, which honestly looks really plain next to the Kingdom one, is still pretty cool. It's still a pretty cool figure, but you can definitely see what I'm talking about with the plainness. Because he's, he has all the animation colors, even though the, cartoon I don't think had the tan shoulders, but hey, it's a part of the, it works. It's part of the Dino mode. But it has like all the color on the chest, the different colors on the head, the purple face and all that. And this one kind of was going for its own thing. Totally black body, silver, traditional buckethead Megatron helmet. Bat wings on his head, which we'll talk about. But yeah, very interesting comparisons. You can see the dino arms. Both of them have the T-Rex head. And then both of them have the tail with the claw. We'll get into the individual. I'm just kind of showing right now some of the base comparisons. Definitely similar backpacks. Both of them have a lot of the dino on their back. I would say the Kingdom one handles it a little more compactly. But still the original vintage one, it's part of the design. Beast Wars Megatron does kind of have like those wings on the back. Kind of like Grimlock from G1. But yeah, pretty cool figures, man. I really do love these. Let's talk about the old one in more detail for his robot mode. So, like I said, the old one doesn't have a lot of detail. You can see his head sculpt is really cool. I always loved the original Beast Wars Megatron head. I always thought it looked so cool and so 90s. And then these bat wings are part of his mutant gimmick, where you can close them up, and he now has a mutant mask. Truth be told, I actually had these removed off the figure. It also has like a horn. It has like fins on the side. It's so weird looking. But I actually had these removed off the figure. You can just pull them off pretty easy. Because I didn't really want him looking that weird. I wanted it to look a little closer to the actual, Megatron design from the show and all that. But since I have the Kingdom one, I'm fully embracing the campiness of this, and I've got him back on. You can see his torso is pretty plain. These are his hip cannons that would have those black missiles, but unfortunately, I only got mine for about $30, which $30 unbroken, with the missiles was a pretty good deal back then. Now, of course, you can get the reissue coming out soon, complete for $50. I might end up getting a reissue and taking the missiles from it, and maybe selling the reissue as like, hey, it's just missing the missiles. I don't know, because I kind of want the missiles, but it's no biggie. It doesn't really make them look too horrible without them. But yeah, they just fire from the buttons on the side. It does leave him with those big old discs on his hips, though, which really limits articulation unless you kind of get him out of the way. He's very clicky. He's a very clicky boy. You can kind of get an idea of the articulation right now. Yeah, he's very clicky. He does have a waist, which is cool. You can already see he's got a little bit of head movement. I mean, he's pretty articulated. He's a pretty nicely articulated figure. Definitely one that I'm afraid to break, just because of how old it is and how, he's made out of a lot of hard, sturdy plastic. But, I think he's durable enough, but I always like being careful with him. I hope I don't break him in this video, please. If I do, though, there's always the reissue. This is the T-Rex head, of course, as his hand. You can open that up. And it does have the squirter inside. Mine still came with a squirter, which is awesome. I don't think it works anymore, but you can just pull out his throat and fill up the squirter. So I'm very happy I still have this with my Megatron, but like I said, I don't think it works anymore. But I just kind of put that back in. You're supposed to open it up and it squirts water out. Not really too necessary. Honestly, I prefer what the Kingdom one did, and you'll see that in a minute. He does have his claw gimmick on this arm. You kind of have to, I kind of have mine collapsed, and I'll show you how to do that. But essentially, you kind of stretch it out. Almost feels like you're breaking it, but you're not. You have it fully stretched out, and then you press this button, and it like reverse chomps, which is interesting. Here, you can kind of see how it's like reverse chomping. It's like you press the button, it goes in, then you pull it, and it goes... It's odd, and it makes the arm very long. Yeah, you can collapse it, like I said. You basically have it in the collapsed mode, and the ratchets are made in such a way where you can actually click his claw shut and keep it closer to his arm. So I like that. That was a very nice design element if it was intentional. So yeah, that's the that's the original vintage one from, I think, like 1996. It's older than me. All right, so let's talk about, yes, the Kingdom one. This guy's very heavy. He's one of the most dense Transformers I've ever handled. That's because how they made him, he kind of feels like a Jurassic Park figure. And he has a lot of soft plastic, like a lot of it. You can definitely see in the dino head. So this is a soft plastic overlay over the hard plastic kind of skeleton. It's like that for the dino head. It's like that for like the shoulders. You can see the overlay there. It's like that for most of the dino surface. Not all of it, but most of it. Like you can see right there how there's a panel that kind of plugs in. It is very interesting, but it makes it feel so much better. He is so heavy. He's probably one of the heaviest leader classes they've made in a long time. He is dense. He definitely feels worthy of being leader class just from the quality of, you know, the paint and the quality of the like, that is insane. That is absolutely insane, and it really helps the figure in a lot of ways. Also hurts it a little bit in T-Rex mode, but we'll talk about that. Let's just go over his articulation real quick. Pretty good ball joint at the head. His shoulders, you can get all the range you really need. His dino mode head's pretty good. You can move it like that if you want, but I feel like mostly it was moved like that, so that works fine. You do have this arm. You can actually move this hand up, which is an awesome feature, so you can actually still have him hold stuff. Like if you want him holding something, because normally, you know, it would be blocked by the claw and all that, but you can actually lift it up. Unfortunately, you cannot take the tail off of the arm, because I know there were times where, you know, in the show he didn't have the tail and he didn't have the... I think he might have always had the T-Rex head, but not always the tail. But you can see he's got the claw. He's got a swivel at the waist. No ratchets in this figure, but he's got pretty good motion. You can get those out of the way to get more movement too. He does feel very nice and durable though, and sturdy. He really does. He's just like, even his feet. Look at that. That's just so interesting. That is like the overlay too. Yet again, he's got a tilt. So yeah, his articulation is absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. And you can get in. Let's get in a little close here. Just look at how pretty he looks. Yes. Yes. He just looks so perfect. I love it. I love Beast Wars Megatron. I'm so happy I actually have like one that looks like the show without spending a lot of money. I mean, I still spent $50, but you know, it wasn't, you know, anyways, you know what I mean. But yeah, he does have a lot of backpack. He really does, but it's decently condensed, and honestly, these parts really help the dyno mode. One other feature I do want to talk about, his T-Rex head. Remember I was saying this one does something cooler? Well, you can open it up, and he's got a port. He did not come with a blast effect. I really wish he came with one. But you can take one, and you can... Oh my gosh. Yeah, I normally don't show these kind of things in my reviews. I don't usually show exterior accessories and parts and all that. But the reason why I got that out is because he will be displayed with this forever. Like, yes. 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 I don't know how I didn't think to do that immediately. So yeah, really, really awesome figure. Absolutely love the Kingdom Megatron. He is... I love him. So, let's transform the old one. It's been a long time since I've done this. This is where I hope I don't break it. Because like I said, it's been a while. So, I know that flips in, and then these panels kind of close up onto that. You're joining me in my adventure of discovering how to transform my toy that I've had for years. Or I guess I should say rediscovering. I saw that when I got him off the shelf and thought he was yellowed, and I was like, damn it, another yellowed figure. But no, it's actually supposed to be that color for once. So then this piece, which definitely always has felt super fragile and scary to me. I think, okay, so his arms will end up like this, right? So we want his head facing this direction. Yeah, there we go. Might want to rotate his waist, I believe, too. So yeah, we want his torso up. Ah, I'm so worried I'm going to break him. If I break him, it's your fault. Because you made me make this video. It's your guys' fault that I make free videos on the internet. Maybe I shouldn't make them free anymore. Maybe I should... Dude, what if someone made, like, a subscription service where, like, they made reviews and you had to pay to watch them? I think I remember a reviewer actually saying, maybe I should do that. Not gonna name names. But, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be absolutely horrible? Who would ever pay to, like, actually watch a review of a toy? Spend that money and just buy the toy? Like, what? What? Anyways, I think we're almost done. We're getting there. Yes. It's still so scary. Because I think... There we go, the head was blocking it. I think this just collapses now, right? I don't think I'm really missing another step. Oh, I just feel like it's not aligned yet. I mean, these old Beast Wars figures, you always do have to... They're old, right? You always have to be careful with them. And it's been so long since I've transformed him. Okay, so this is funny, because this is the exact same mistake I made when I was figuring out how to transform the Kingdom figure for the first time. I rotated the waist because he had waist articulation, and I assumed because he has waist articulation, that means that you have to rotate it for the transformation. Not exactly. You don't. You don't have to rotate it for this figure, and you don't have to rotate it for the Kingdom figure. But I did it anyway because I just assumed. Because see, that's what I do. I transform Transformers kind of like a puzzle. I'm like, oh, I see this piece moves. Ooh, that didn't sound good. I see this piece moves. So I assume that means that you move it for the transformation. But like I said, that is not always the case. So yeah, there is the original Beast Wars Megatron T-Rex mode. And yeah, that's pretty great, isn't it? I might keep him in the T-Rex mode for a while. I might, like, alternate on the shelf. Have, like, Kingdom in T-Rex mode, Vintage and Robot, vice versa. A really good T-Rex mode. We'll talk about that more in the comparison after we get this one transformed. Which, not 100% looking forward to. Because he has a lot of panels. He's definitely a panel former. And these panels don't always want to tap in. So you can see this is actually pretty similar, where it has like these side panels that tab in. So you have those for the tail, which is nice. It's definitely very similar, because honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the original Vintage one had a pretty stable formula, especially when it comes to the torso. So I'm trying to think about how this goes again. For the record, I absolutely adore the T-Rex mode on the Kingdom one. It's not perfect, but I absolutely 100% adore it. So, flip the head in. Same, it's basically the same thing you do with the Vintage one as well. You flip the head in. And then this is an issue I have. These panels you connect at the bottom, but for the life of me cannot get these tabs to connect into the shoulder. I just can't. It doesn't leave too big of a gap. I don't really worry about it. But it is still a bit irritating. Remember what I was talking about, the hips? How this one has hips that make me nervous? You untab them, and then there's these they've thankfully not gotten so tight the more I've done it, because I've transformed them a handful of times. But they're just so tight, and I'm so worried that they're just going to snap or something. So yeah, don't rotate the waist. Get that in. And then I really love these sliders for these pieces. You can see the rail right there, how that works. That is ingenious, absolutely ingenious. I didn't understand how it worked at first. So yeah, it's, honestly, they're both pretty simple, but also very effective. And you get the hips in like that. And one thing that doesn't always like tabbing in is this. You can see the tab kind of in there. I mean, it tabs in, but it doesn't always want to stay tabbed in. And that piece, you can see that piece has flexed a bit from where from how it has to move for transformation. But I'm sure a little bit of heat will fix that up. I'm not too worried about it. But you can see how those panels don't like staying together too well. Then we get the head in, the panels around the head. And that's pretty much it for the Kingdom one. Of course, a couple panels that keep wanting to not stay connected. But other than that, there we go. Here's Kingdom T-Rex mode, and here is Vintage T-Rex mode. So, I love, love, love the purple on the new Kingdom one. I think it's so much more vibrant. I think it just looks so much cooler. Both of them do have the green on the back as well, and the tan on the bellies. That's definitely something where they ensured that the new Kingdom one carried that detail forward from the Vintage. So yeah, we have over here kind of a very 90s looking toy T-Rex. And over here we have a very cool Jurassic World looking Barney the dinosaur. So, you can definitely see the details are a lot more extreme on the Kingdom one because of that soft plastic. This, like, pretty much all the surface you're seeing is that soft plastic, with just a couple exceptions. You can just see all over all the details and all the rivets. The head looks phenomenal. And this time, like with the placements of all the panels and everything, you move the lower jaw and the upper one moves too. And of course, you can put the freaking cannon back, and you can put the blast back in. Why not? Why not? Have your T-Rex with a blast out of its mouth. That looks absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's something, man. You can see how that does kind of want to separate a little bit. It is definitely panely. You know, you can see how the panels are kind of wanting to separate, and especially around the neck, how they did these panels. They're supposed to kind of fill it in, but you can always kind of see little spikes and everything sticking out. But, I mean, it works. It definitely gives a lot of articulation to the new one, while the Vintage one has like a head rotation. Of course, you can always open and close the jaw, but it won't stay open. You have ball joints at the arms, which I'm very worried are going to break. The legs, you pretty much just have knees. Of course, you can always get the missiles back out if you'd want to do that. And that's it for the Vintage one. That is literally it. It really feels like, because of the harder plastic, it feels, I don't know, it's just feeling this and then feeling like this, which is so chunky and so heavy and feels so much more like a high-end, like, Jurassic Park T-Rex figure. It's really a contrast. I mean, you can see the leg articulation already. You can actually move the legs out a bit, even though you do have the panels you have to contend with, you know. But still, you can move them out, and it's not going to look perfect, but you can do it. You can still move the arms. The head, you can move side to side. Just, you know, think about those panels for like a picture or something. You can move it up and down. You can open the jaw. You do have ankle articulation still retained. And the tail. The tail is insane. Like, you can move it side to side, and you also have that one too. You can rotate that. It is so good. I love the Kingdom T-Rex mode. Like I said, it's not perfect. It does have a lot of panels. It does look a little panely. A lot of the panels don't want to stay together or tab in at all, but it still feels solid. I don't feel like it's just going to fall apart on me. While this one, I worry it's going to snap. Honestly, like, I don't mean to like make it sound cheap, but you know those squirt guns that look like a T-Rex that are made out of like the cheaper plastic? This feels more like that. It's still heavier, but especially compared to this, it definitely feels cheap. It is a literal squirt gun though, isn't it? But yeah, there we go. Old versus new of Beast Wars Megatron. Honestly, I know which one I prefer. The Kingdom one has an awesome T-Rex mode. It's so badass. And the robot mode looks great too. It's not perfect. Like I said, it does have a lot of panels. It does, you know, it's not perfect, but it's really great. And honestly, comparing this to like the Masterpiece looks very cartoon accurate, but for like a fourth the cost, I think, if not less, this one's phenomenal. And the Vintage one, I'll always have a soft spot for the Vintage one. I've had it for a while. I love it. It's far from perfect, but it's just a charming 90s figure of a purple T-Rex. And I'll always love it. I'm not going to get rid of my old one because I have the new one now. Hell no. Hell no. I still love the vintage one. Still definitely keeping it. I guess it's safe to call it vintage. I don't know. I kind of consider 90s toys retro, but I mean, come on, it's older than me. I am 22 years old, and this is older than me. This is like 24, I think? Maybe turning 25 this year, I'm pretty sure. Oh my gosh, this is a quarter of a century old. So yeah, I guess you can call it vintage. We're getting to that point now, I guess. I mean, we called vintage figures vintage back in like 2005 when they were like 20 years old. So, I mean, time's moving. Anyways, Beast Wars Megatron, everybody. I love both these toys. The Kingdom one is phenomenal. The original Beast Wars it's a treat. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know which one you prefer down in the comments below. And let me know if you'd love to see, like, because I know they're doing a red repaint of this into T-Rex. I'd love to see in, like, actual, you know, Jurassic Park T-Rex colors. I would rebuy it. Seriously. I might even rebuy T-Rex if I like the colors enough. Because I need more of this T-Rex figure in my life. My brother's a Jurassic Park fan and collector, and I've seen some of his T-Rexes, and I've been so jealous, and now I actually have, like, a T-Rex toy I really love. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to stop my rambling. I'll see you later. Bye.